Well, thank you for coming, everyone, here tonight. I am president of something called Third House Nature Center. If you don't know me, my name is Ed Johan. We are really happy to be back in the building. As many of you know, it's been closed for many, many years. It took 20 years in renovations. We're finally someplace. This is part of trying to introduce new programming back into the building so people get to be familiar with what we do and the potential of the place. We've just had 3 musical nights in a row. Laurie was here for 2 nights in a row, and tonight we're very thrilled to have Skip Gorman here. We're looking for people who want to be involved, who want to help, want to be part of programs, want to attend things. We have a sign-up sheet out front. If you think that there's anything you might want to do with us or learn from us or be part of a program, sign up and you'll be on our mailing list. That's a good thing to happen. Other than that, we do a lot of stuff. I won't take a lot of time right now. We'll let Skip get going. But we do a lot of things, and it's environmental, it's cultural, it's historical. So if you've got an interest, get on our mailing list and we'll stay in touch with you. Okay? But tonight, we're really thrilled to have Skip Gorman here. I'm not going to do the introduction of all his history, 65 years of playing the instruments out there, all the work he's done, and you'll learn about some of it from him. But we were very lucky. Alan Cohen mentioned 6 or 8 months ago, and we took a flyer and we wrote a note, and Skip was nice enough to say, sure, I can come down, and he picked tonight, and we worked it out. And so we've been enjoying conversations with him over the last day when he's here, and we're really thrilled to have him. So thank you for coming, and I hope we enjoy the evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure. Can you hear Laurie okay? And Ed, first thing I want to do is thank you and the outfit here. It's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. And I'm up in the cabin there, which is just delightful, and sit on the porch and I can play the fiddle. And Laurie, thanks so much for doing the sound. Well, when Ellen Cohn mentioned that I should come here and maybe sing some cowboy songs, I was really thrilled because I used to play at Beth Page in the 1990s. And it was a beautiful spot, and sometimes I would drive toward Orient Point and I'd go, wow, this is heaven. This is really a beautiful place. So I'm thrilled to be here tonight. Thanks so much. I'm going to sing some of the older cowboy songs, a couple of new songs, play some fiddle tunes. But just looking around here reminds me of when I was working on a ranch in Wyoming, a 90,000 acre ranch in the 90s. And it brings back really great memories. I think I haven't seen any rattlesnakes yet. So I'll just start with the tune, see if I can get warmed up for you all. Called When the Cactus is in Bloom. And the coyotes howl on the grapevine. Every tongue of wrong to sing a song as down the trail I ride. Rattlesnake rattle at the prairie dog, I can hear that mournful tune. Round up time, way out west, where the cactus is in bloom. Daylight comes and the cowhand, yeah, they call that every man. Throw my saddle on my old cow horse, coffee from a can. Sun goes down on the cattle trail, chasing at the moon. Round the time, way out west, when the cactus is in bloom. Oh, the leader, Lord, day. Oh, the leader, Lord, day. Are you a lady, oh, lady? Shines best out on the Texas plains. Some of the boys have gone away. Now for the serious part of the program. So many of these old songs, it's a hard sell, you know, this old time stuff, when there's so many good musicians now and they're all playing faster and louder and more proficient every day. All these, you know, it's amazing. The kids are getting into it. The seniors are getting into it. You know, a lot of seniors are starting to realize that this is soul soothing. And I know Laurie's running programs in different places. You ought to check it out. They had something last night on the front porch here where you show up with a guitar, a banjo, and you just play. And when I say serious part, I'm talking about some of the real old songs that came out of the West, mostly about lonesomeness, forlornness, dying, accidents. You know, I mean, it was tough. It was a tough life. And what happened was, in the 1930s, they started romancing the old-time cowboys from the 1880s. And they started making all these films. And they needed to find people to write scores for the films. So they went and got people like Cole Porter, who wrote Don't Fence Me In. And the music became jazz. So now when people think cowboy songs, it's all about jazz music, because that's the American music, you know, is jazz music. But before jazz, before bluegrass, before swing, there were guys out on the prairie in the right after the Civil War in the 1870s, 80s. And it must have been a rough time. A lot of Irishmen who wrote these old songs. I heard an old 78 of this song done by Carl T. Sprague, one of the old cowboy singers from Texas. But then when I was on a plane one time, I was in Colorado, and somebody showed me this postcard, and it had the lyrics of this song on a postcard. And it's called The Cowboy's Soliloquy. And to me, it talks about what it was really like to be on the range. All day long on the prairie I ride, not even a dog to trot by my side. My fires I do kindle with chips gathered round, my coffee I boil without being ground. I wash in a pool and I dry on a sack. I carry my wardrobe all on my back for want of an oven, cook bread in a pot, and to sleep on the ground for want of a cot. My ceiling's the sky, my floor is the grass, my music's the lowing of the herds as they pass. My books are the streams, my sermons the stars, my parson's a wolf on a pulpit of bones. And if my cooking is not too complete, you can't blame me for wanting to eat and show me the man who sleeps more profound than the big puncher boy who sleeps on the ground. Between me and love lies a gap very wide. Some lucky feller will call her his bride. My friends gently hint I'm coming to grief, but a man must make money and a woman have beef. My books teach me consistence to prize, my sermon small things I should not despise. My parson remarks from his pulpit of bones that fortune favors all who look out for their own. Alrighty. I don't have my set list with me, but I'll see what I can do about remembering what I'm doing. I'll try not to vary it from it. The Brazos River. I think so, thank you. That would be a help. Thank you.
Need a set list?
Okay. The next song, sometimes they call it the Rivers of Texas, and some people know it as the Brazos River Song. Now the word for arm in Spanish is un brazo. And the Texans are so good with the Spanish language, and they've taken it to such an extreme that they can move the word vaquero all the way to buckaroo. And they can take a word like un brazo and turn the river into the Brazos. So this is about the Brazos River. It's kind of a history lesson about the rivers in Texas. And it's about a fellow goes down by the Brazos, finds a beautiful woman. She'll have nothing to do with him, so he'll not ride by the Brazos no more. We crossed the white Pecos, forded the places, we swam one day, walked down the Brazos Red River unrusty, watching it clear, but it's down by the Brazos, I courted my dear. Singing la 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 lee, Lily, give me your hand. La lee, Lily, give me your hand. La la lee, Lily, give me your hand. For there's many a river that waters this land. Oh, the sweet Angelino goes gleaming and colliding, and the crooked Colorado winding the slow San Antonio. Courses are plain, but I never will ride by the Brazos again. Singing la la lee, Lily, give me your hand. La la lee, Lily, give me your hand. La la lee, Lily, give me your hand. For there's many a river that waters this land. Oh, she kissed me, she hugged me, she called me her dandy, for the Trinity is muddy, the Brazos quicksandy. She kissed me, she hugged me, she called me a roan, but it's down by the Brazos, she left me alone. La la lee, Lily, give me your hand. La la lee, Lily, give me your hand. La la lee, Lily, give me your hand. For there's many a river that waters this land. On Little River, they're plump and they're purty, on the Sabine and the Sulphur, many a beauty down along the old Canadian. Girls by the score, but I never will ride by the Brazos no more. Singing la la lee, Lily, give me your hand. La la lee, right along. La 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 lee, lily, right along. La la lee, lily, right along. For my Brazos River sweetheart, she's left me, she's gone. Thank you so much. It's really interesting being here and seeing all the photos of Teddy Roosevelt here, who, as of course you know, is governor and president. And he was very friendly with a fellow from the University of Texas named John Lomax, who was Alan Lomax's father. Alan Lomax did the folk songs of North America. And his father, John Lomax, in 1910 collected cowboy songs. He did the second, to my knowledge, collection of cowboy songs in 1910. And while he was teaching at the University of Texas, but he was a good friend of Teddy Roosevelt. And Teddy Roosevelt, I think, wrote the introduction to his songs of the cowboy. They were both from Harvard, you know, one of those guys. And the first collection of cowboy songs was written in 1908, put together by a guy named Jack Thorpe. And Jack went to St. Paul's School in New Hampshire and graduated, and he couldn't go to college because his dad's business failed. So he went out to Nebraska and started sending polo ponies back to his father to see if they could make some money. But that didn't work. So he got on a horse and he rode for 1,500 miles around New Mexico and Texas and collected cowboy songs. And this was probably very early 1900s. And in 1908, this kid, Jack Thorpe, did the first collection of cowboy songs in 1908. He published it on his own. And as a matter of fact, my understanding is that John Lomax, who did the collection 2 years later, took some of this guy's stuff and never really gave him credit for it. But they're both really interesting, and you read through some of the texts of these songs. 1929 Martin, you still have to tune it from time to time. I was reading through John Lomax's collection, and there was a song there called Buffalo Hunters. You may remember that there was a lot of, what was that other song? Buffalo something or other, Skinners. Buffalo Skinners that all the folkies used to sing around the 60s. This is called the Buffalo Hunters. I'll see if I can do it for you. It pretty much describes what it was like to hunt buffalo. Fellers stay at home with gals like you. Our game is the antelope, buffalo, elk, and deer. They roam these wide prairies without the least of fear. We rob them of their robes and breeds we think no harm, for to buy us chuck and clothing, for to keep our bodies warm. Buffalo is the largest and the noblest of man. Up his hands, with shaggy mane uplifted and face up to the sky, as if to say I'm coming now, so hunter mind your send them up Salt River to their happy hunting ground. Our houses are made of buffalo hides, we build them tall and round. Fires are made of buffalo chips and beds upon the ground. Furniture, camp, kettle, coffee pot and pan. The truck is buffalo beef and bread mingled in with sand. Our neighbors are the Cheyenne, Arapaho, and the Sioux. Their mode of navigation is a buffalo hide canoe. And if they would all emigrate, I'm sure we would not care for a peculiar way they have of taking a white man's hair. We're all just jolly hunters, we like our lager beer. The hunter's a jolly feller, drinks this whiskey clear. And now you've heard my song, you must not think it queer if I take a dram of whiskey and a glass of lager beer. Yeah, it's fun that there's a lot of really interesting old-time songs out there that I think it's really kindled my love of history. You know, when you read through these things, you go, oh, that's what it was really like. It wasn't cocktails in the canyon. You know, it was real stuff. Well, I'd be amiss if I did a program of old-time cowboy songs without a cappella number. And I was working on a ranch in Wyoming. As I say, it was the High Island Ranch in Hamilton Dome, south of Cody. And we would ride up by the Washakie Needle. This is south of Yellowstone. And it was absolutely gorgeous. Not quite as pretty as here, but it was really a lovely spot. And, you know, I played music for a while, and then I started riding horses, you know, a kid from the East, and then I started learning about what these songs were really like. You know, I was singing these songs before and didn't really understand them until I got bucked off horses and saw people killed in the whole 9 yards. And at this ranch, the High Island Ranch, was an old cowboy in his late 70s, and he would ride the back of a mule standing up. He had been a cowboy his whole life, and at night he would come over to the campfire, and one night he said, we were sitting around playing fiddle tunes, a couple of us, and he said, you know, you boys play them fiddle tunes like my granddad played. And we said, that's really a great compliment, because that's what we're trying to do. And we said, well, Nate, why don't you sing a song the way your granddaddy sang it? And he said, oh, I can do that, but I'm going to do it a cappella. You probably don't know what that means because you've never studied Latin. And he said, yeah, well, I think I know what it means. And he said, in Latin it means to the cow camp, a cappella. And he would sing these songs a cappella, and he would kind of speak part of the words, you know, and just get off the track and everything. But what an amazing character this guy was. And here's one of the songs he sang. It was late last night when I come home so drunk I could not see. I tripped right over the old doormat, fell flat as I could be. Had me a little bottle of rum, but I didn't have no more. Cap flew off as I went down, spilled it on the floor. A rat come out of his hiding place when he got that liquor scent. He ran right up, grabbed a little shot, back to his hole he went, back to his hole he went, back to his hole. He ran right up, grabbed a little shot, back to his hole he went. Now the rat come out of his hole again. He sidled up to the puddle on the floor, He was a little bit shy, but he winked one eye. He had himself a little bit more. He didn't go back to the hole that time, but he stayed by the puddle of gin. He said, "Daggone my pop-eyed soul, I'm gonna get drunk again." Gonna get drunk again, gonna get drunk. He said, "Daggone my pop-eyed soul, I'm gonna get drunk again." Now his little old eyes began to shine as he lapped up more and more. And he made me glad that I had stumbled and spilled it on the floor. He washed his feet with his front, he washed his face with his front feet. On his hind legs sat with a twisted smile, half closed eyes, says, "Where's that daggone cat?" And he didn't go back to his hole. He said, "Daggone my soul, if only a rat. I'm only a rat, but I ain't no afraid of that cat." And soon the bottle of rum was gone. I didn't have no more gin. The little old rat was having a time when the old Tom Cat come in. The cat made a pass, the rat made a dash, as bold as fated sin. The cat jumped over, the rat got sober, ran back to his hole again. Thank you very much. So it's important to do these a cappella numbers if you do cowboy songs. So let's see, what do we have next? Oh yes. I spend a lot of time in Ireland and Scotland. I've made the best friends. And so, you know, have you heard of Margaret Bennett? You know Margaret Bennett? You spend a lot of time with Margaret. We're like brother and sister, you know, and she is just a treasure trove. And I'll sing some of these old cowboy songs, and she'll tell me about the Scottish antecedent. You know, in this particular song, I learned as Pretty Fair Maid Out in the Garden. And you know, there's different chord progressions and all that kind of thing. And she said, "Oh yes, that's a song that they used to sing here called the Bleacher Lassie." And I went, first thing I thought of was Fenway Park. The Bleacher Lassie. And then I said, "Oh no, this is actually," there were young girls who used to hang around and work hard at bleaching clothing. You know, they had these big pots and things. And the gist of this song is, of course, some handsome young guy comes by and tries to hit on one of the ladies. And, you know, it's the Bleacher Lassie in Scotland, but it's a cowboy hitting on a woman at a ranch. And, you know, these songs would travel, and the lyrics would travel, and the melodies would travel. It's a fascinating study. And this song is particularly interesting because this fellow rides up, "Will you marry me?" Oh no, I have a sweetheart I haven't seen in many years. And, well, what if he's dead? What if he's been killed in battle? What if he's found a beautiful woman to be with? Well, if he's dead, I know he's happy. And if he's alive, I'll see him again. And if he's found a beautiful woman, I'll love that woman he fell in love with. That's a pretty liberal lady. But then, the surprising thing is, the fellow who's hitting on her gets on his knees and says that he is that guy she's been waiting for 7 years. She didn't even recognize him. Because he's, you know, been out on the range, he's probably had too much to drink, he's been kicked in the head by horses, all out of shape. So this is called Pretty Fair Maid in the Garden, or the Bleacher Lassie. Pretty fair maid out in the garden, a cowboy he come right beside her, said, pretty fair maid, won't you be my bride? Oh, no, 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 kind sir, she answered, would you impose on a girl like me? I'd have a sweetheart among the cowboys who has 4 years been gone from me. Perhaps your sweetheart, he is drowned. Perhaps she's on some battlefield slain. Perhaps he's to some pretty girl married. Perhaps you'll never see him again. If he's dead, I know he's happy. And if he's alive, I'll see him again. And if he's to some pretty girl married, I'll love the girl who married him. Down on his knees, he knelt beside her, and he asked her to be his loving bride. He said he was the lonesome, lonely cowboy who had returned to be by her side. Yeah, I'm probably a little bit too liberal with the songs. I don't want to keep you here that late. I mean, I could do hundreds of them, but I just tried to pick ones that I loved and I thought you would like as well. Let's see. Let's do the Yellow Rose of Texas, or actually sometimes they call it the Yeller Rose of Texas. When I was a kid, I'd listen to Mitch Miller. And get this in the right. And he would do the Yellow Rose of Texas, da-da-da-da-dee. And I always envisioned this beautiful yellow rose. And then it occurred to me, no, it's probably a beautiful blonde woman. And then I finally did some research and realized it was about a slave woman named Emily West, who was involved with a Colonel Morgan. And when the Texans attacked at the Battle of San Jacinto, and I think it was 1846, the folklore is, and it could be true, and some people take issue with this, was that Colonel Morgan sent Emily West, this tawny, high yeller lass, to Santa Ana and asked her to keep him company while he was serving breakfast in his camp. So she was a distraction, and he was, and Santa Ana was a womanizer. So apparently, the Texans won the battle easily, hardly losing a man. It was a huge deal, the Battle of San Jacinto. And so the Texas soldiers honored Emily West, was her real name, with a song called the Yeller Rose of Texas. sing this all the time. I haven't done it for a while. We'll see if I can get up there. You know, at my age, memorizing lyrics isn't as easy as it used to be. She's the yellow rose of Texas I am gonna see. No other cowboy knows her, nobody else but me. She cried so when I left her, it like to broke my heart. If I ever find her, boys, never more shall part. She's the sweetest rose of color this cowboy ever knew. Her eyes, they shine like a diamond, they sparkle like dew. You can talk about your winsome maids and sing of Rosalie, but the yellow rose of Texas beats the bells of Tennessee. Yodelay, yodelay, yodelay. Where the Rio Grande is flowing and the starry skies are bright, she walks down by the river, boys, on a quiet summer night. She wonders if I think of how we parted long ago. I promised to come back to her, never let her go. She's the sweetest rose of color this cowboy ever knew. Her eyes, they shine like a diamond, they sparkle like the dew. You can talk about your winsome days, sing of Rosalie, but the yellow rose of Texas beats the bells of Tennessee. Yodelay, 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 yodelay. I'm going back to find her, my heart is full of woe. We'll sing the old time numbers we sang so long ago. We'll play the fiddles gaily and sing of the punch and pray, and the yellow rose of Texas lead me to my grave. She's the sweetest rose of color this cowboy ever knew. Her eyes, they shine like a diamond, they sparkle like a dew. You can talk about your winsome maid, sing of mountain Rosalie, but the yellow rose of Texas beats the bells of Tennessee. Yodelay, 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 yodelay. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. What a beautiful spot this is. I'm really enjoying myself. Even though I may seem too serious about this stuff. There's a song I used to listen to. I'm pretty much a folkie, really, when you get down to it. I started listening to Jimmy Rogers and Yodeling Brakeman when I was 8. I went to the Newport Folk Festivals all the time, saw everybody, went to the first Bluegrass Festival when I was 15, and drank whiskey in a car with the Stanley Brothers. No joke, when I was 15. And so, you know, I've been around and seen a lot of these things. Now, I've lost track of what I was saying, so I have to look and see what I said. What was it going to be? It was going to be...
Utah carols.
Oh, okay. Utah Carol. Okay, this is, I was thinking about doing a different song for some reason. Oh, no, I was going to do this song. Yeah, so I said I was a folkie. And, you know, I drive around on Sunday night and listen to these folk shows that they had, you know, in the 80s especially. It was really great. And there was a song that was sung, and I'm trying to remember the woman who would sing it. Kate, help me out. Kate,
Not people.
Kate Smith?
no. She was not a folk singer. I just can't remember her name now, but this song was written by Kate Wolf, who is no longer with us, who is a folk singer. And I used to listen to it and say, wow, what a beautiful melody, and the lyrics really speak to me about the Great Divide. And she called it Across the Great Divide, so I'll sing it for you. I've been walking in my sleep, counting troubles instead of counting sheep. Where the years went, I cannot say. I just turned around, gone away, yesterday. Now I find myself on the mountainside, where the rivers change direction across the Great Divide. I've been sifting through the layers of dusty books and lonesome prayers. They tell the story I used to know, and it all happened long ago. Long ago, yesterday. Now I find myself on the mountainside, where the rivers change direction across the Great Divide. I hear the owl, he's a-calling softly as the night is falling, with a question, so I replied, but he's gone now, across the timberline, yesterday. Now I find myself on that mountainside, where the rivers change direction across the Great Divide. The finest hour I have seen is the one that comes between the edge of night and the break of day. That's when all the darkness rolls away, yesterday. Now I find myself on that mountainside, where the rivers change direction across the Great Divide. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Okay, this next song, Utah Carol, I've recorded twice, no, 3 times I've recorded it. Once for Folk Legacy, once for Rounder, and a different version on my own label. And I won't go on too much with the explanation of what happened. If you listen to the lyrics, you'll figure it out. But it's all about a young cowgirl. This is a true story, probably happened often, from the 1880s. A young cowgirl named Varro and she was the boss's daughter, and she was running down steers. You know, when you get behind a herd of cattle, sometimes the little steers run out to the side, so you have to spur your cow horse and catch up and push it back into the herd. And Varro was really good at this. We have no idea how old she was. She was anywhere between, 8 and 14 or something. But in any case, she was running the steer back, and she noticed her saddle blanket her cinch had loosened on her saddle, and the saddle blanket shifted back, and it started flapping in the breeze. And sure enough, a bull had seen that red blanket flapping and charged. And she turned around, tried to fix her blanket, but the horse must have spun and she hit the ground. And when she did, of course, there was a young cowboy on the other side of the herd named Utah Carroll, good Irish guy. That was his last name. And he dashed over, tried to grab her, and when he tried to yank her up on his saddle, his cinch snapped. So he was on the ground too. Now, when that bull charged that red blanket, the rest of the herd followed. So she was trying to avoid the stampede. I forgot to say that part. So the stampede's coming at them like a freight train. Utah's on the ground, Varro's on the ground. Utah grabs that red saddle blanket and runs over to the side, waving it over his head, trying to get the attention of the cattle, which he did. And when they got to him, he pulled his pistol out, tried to shoot some of the lead steers, but he didn't make it. But he saved Varro's life because he had moved to the side of the herd with that red blanket. And of course, they buried Utah on the prairie, and Varro sent the red saddle blanket for him to be buried in. Sorry, last time I sang, I have this memory of singing this song for kindergartners, and I burst out crying. And I remember some little girl and thinking, what's wrong with him? I think I had too much to drink the night before. Let's go up here. But it's a beautiful song. It's my favorite ballad of all. And once again, if I can remember the lyrics. And now, my friends, you ask me what makes me sad and still. Why my brow is darkened like them clouds on the hill. Draw in your ponies closer. I'll tell you this tale of Utah Carroll, my partner, and his last ride on the trail. We rode the range together. We rode it side by side. I loved him like a brother. I had to weep when Utah died. We were rounding up one morning. The work was almost done. And on one side they started in a mad and fearful run. The bossman's little daughter was running down the steer, and the cattle saw her blanket, and they charged with maddened fear. Little Varro saw her danger, and turning her pony apace, and leaning in her saddle she tied that blanket in its place. One leaning she lost her balance, and she fell by that wild tide. Utah saw her danger, lay still, Varro, he cried. His only hope was to catch her and raise her at full speed. As he had oft been known to catch a trail rope off his steed. his saddle made that a fatal ride, for his back cinch snapped asunder, and he fell by the arrow's side. But he picked up that red saddle blanket and swing it over his head, and running toward the cattle, lay still, that roll, he said. Now Utah turned that stampede, and he saved his little friend. Then he turned to face the cattle and meet a fatal end. His six-gun from his pocket, from a scabbard he quickly drew, for he was bound to die defending, as most young cowhands do. On some bright future morning, I heard the preacher say, I know we'll all meet Utah at the great roundup someday. They wrapped him in that red saddle blanket sent by his little friend. It was the same red blanket that brought him to his end. Well, I think I'm not going to do the Maid of Argenta. It's from Arkansas, you know. Because I'd like to get the next set in, and I don't want to keep you folks all night. So let's see what we can do here. You're probably sick of the guitar picking anyhow. I don't play the fiddle standing up, so I'm in the gravel seat. And I'm just going to take this mic down. Oh, lovely. Whew. I'm going to start with a tune that I got from another book, an old book from the 1930s, written by Powder River Jack Lee from Wyoming. And he had this song, and he had this poem called Roulette Cape, or the subtitle was Tough and Wild. And I read through this poem and I went, oh my Lord, this is really strange. Was it really like this on the Mexican border? And you can decide for yourself. And then, after I do this tune called Tough and Wild, I'll do a fiddle tune that I wrote called Buffalo Hump. And it's the song in, Ken Burns has used it in 5 documentaries, including The American Buffalo, and it's the only real money I've ever made in folk music. Okay, so Tough and Wild and Buffalo Hump. For the female breed, for its charms and ties, life of vice goes hand in hand with greed. dancing lust in the balmy nights where them cabaret lights do flicker. Sin and passion run unrestrained to the tang of tequila liquor, to the tang of tequila liquor. There's some who crave mezcal juice, curdles the blood and chills, and the marijuana that drives one wild till he goes insane and kills. There's many a hellhole takes its toll on the Mexican border side, where the learns to curse, to drink and worse, till the booze permeates their high, till the booze permeates their high. There's dangerous music that stimulates with a perilous crooning roll, and a lingering rhythm of melody, it will shatter a woman's soul. There's many a derelict steeped in sin who once was pure as a child, but his morals drained with a border strain leaves him tough and wild, leaves him tough and wild. So this is called the Colorado Trail. face like a prairie flower, laughing all the day. Laura was a pretty girl, now she's gone away. We both fall in rain, well winds wail, all along, along, the Colorado Trail. My aching heart is broke full sore, a pinto will never fail. Laura was a pretty girl, cut down in a gale. We both fall in rains, well winds wail, all along, along, Colorado Trail. All along, the Colorado Trail. Usually do this in a different key.
Can I just make your mic come up just a little bit?
I was born in a two-room shack, just about a mile from the railroad track. Humming of the drivers of my lullaby, freight train whistle on the house. I got the freight train blues. Lord, 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 he got him in the bum, rambling shoes. When the whistle blows, you gotta go. Lord, 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 he gives never gonna lose the freight train blues. My daddy was a fireman, Mama dear was the only daughter of an engineer. My sweetie loved me dearly, it ain't no joke. Shame when a woman makes a good man broke. I got the freight train blues. Lord, 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 he got him in the bum, rambling shoes. When the whistle blows, I gotta go. Lord, 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 he gets never gonna lose the freight train blues. Coming down the line. Steamboat whistle never soothed my soul. Airplanes and all this left me cold. The only thing that makes me want to navigate is a wildcat whistle on the southbound freight. I got the freight train blues. Lord, 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 he got him in the bum, rambling shoes. When the whistle blows, I gotta go. Lord, 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 he is never gonna lose the freight train blues. I'm old enough to quit running around, trying 1,000 times to settle down. Every time I find a place I wanna stay, the freight train whistle blows along the way. I got the freight train blues. Lord, 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 he got him in a bundle of rambling shoes. When the whistle blows, you gotta go. Lord, 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 he gets him never gonna lose the freight train blues. Coming down the line again. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Sorry I was getting the guitar and the mic there.
You want me to move back a little bit?
No, I can just move this up the head. Thank you. Okay, now back to the serious cowboy music. in the old days, before they had fencing, you know, they used to drive the cattle from Texas and Mexico up to the Kansas railheads,
Yeah.
right? Because that's, they wanted to get them up there so they could ship them to Chicago, because the railroad in the early days was not down in Texas. And that's why when you look at these films, you see these herds, they're going north. They're either there's different trails they went up, you know, the Goodnight Loving Trail, the Colorado Trail, and then other trails, mostly to Kansas, you know, Dodge City and cow towns like that. But Wyoming, where the grass was really good, they would send the cattle up there to fatten up. And when you did that, you didn't have barbed wire fences in the early days, so you would have to bed the cattle at night. That was the most important thing you did, because if wolves were howling, if a cowboy dropped a pot on a stove, a gunshot would send the cattle, they'd get up and they'd run in the dark. And that was the most dangerous thing, the thing the cowboy feared most, was because they would have to saddle up their horses right after the cattle, try to turn the cattle into a circle so it would stop with itself. You know, if you do a circle, it's going to end someplace. And this is where a lot of people lost their lives, stampedes at night. So they would send night guards out. A couple of people on horseback just kind of meandering through the herd, just to let the animal know there was a human there. I kind of liken it to boarding schools, when you walk up and down the corridor at night so the kids can hear you and let them know you're there. But it really did work, and it was done often. And this song is called The Night Guard. And it's unfortunate because this young fellow ran across a longhorn steer. Cowboys gathered by the campfire after a long, hard day. As they rolled the smoke, they told some jokes to pass the time away. The big trail herd was hard to hold. The night guard sang a song to bed the cattle and keep them still throughout the whole night long. The night guard was a handsome lad. His face was tanned from the sun. His heart was willfully wedded home, back to the only one. She was a girl you'd surely love, if her you could but see. Her eyes, they shine like the stars above, and 1,000 charms had she. As dawn came in to the eastern sky, the cattle began to stir, and the bright light it shined in the night guard's eye, for he's on his way to her. A longhorn steer came ambling near, the blood was in his eye. He caught that night guard unawares, and he charged as he rode by. The night guard's horse, in a mighty leap, he threw his rider on his head. That steer then got him as he rose. It was there we found him dead. Now the little girl the news we brought and the story that we told. These cowboy songs are just so matter of fact. Oh, I guess it was the news we brought and the story we told that turned her into an old lady. Okay, there was a cowboy from Wyoming named Curly Fletcher, and he was the guy who wrote the Strawberry Roan. And he was a rodeo champion in about 1914, and all the cowboys in Wyoming knew that he had written this song called the Strawberry Roan. But it appeared in a major film with Ken Maynard in the 1930s, and he never made a dime. But they used his song, The Strawberry Roan, throughout the film. And, you know, he got recognition. I've seen the film. He got, you know, credits and everything, but never made a dime. So, I mean, that wouldn't go today. That wouldn't work today. But he never lost his sense of humor. And he wrote a parody of his own song called The Ridge Running Roan. And the Strawberry Roan was about a horse that you would try to ride, but everybody would get bucked to smithereens, kind of a humorous song. And this is a similar kind of thing, but it's a two-part song where first you have to run the horse down in the ridges, run him into a corral, and then saddle him and get bucked to smithereens. And, you know, there's cowboy lingo that you have to explain to people too. A sun fisher, a sun fishing son of a gun is a horse that is bucking so hard he's upside down, and the rider's underneath him. You know, he's twisting. That's a sun fisher. And there's other lyrics in here that you can ask me about afterwards, but you'll get the gist of this thing. I was down in the Badlands a-wrangling alone when I hear of a cayuse, the ridge running roan. He's fleet as a deer and as tough as a mule, pretty as a picture, nobody's fool. I goes right to work and I get me a pair of the best saddle horses that ever wore hair. I hunts up that Mustang and I camp on his trail. Takes to the ridges, he's packing the mail. Now he stays on them bridges as wise as a fox. He's just like a goat when he gets in them rocks. I'm trailing till dawn, and at dawn I begin. I'm getting weak and my horses getting thin. I stay with his tracks till I get stiff and sore, but he stays up ahead, he keeps making more. He don't get much water and no time to graze, while I camps on his trail for 17 days. I started to crowd him and turn him around, but he quits the ridges, he heads for soft ground. I build me a loop when I get to the flat. I throws my riata, it fits like your hat. Then I stake him to camp and then in the corral. I feed him on oats and hay for a spell. He gets fat and strong, then I give him the noose. I ties him down and a tax on his shoe. I throws on my saddle, I cinches her tight. When I stepped on board, he goes on the fight. He turns inside out and he swallers his hide. And that was the last, boys, of some little ride. He hits with a jar that most sheds on my hair. I'm still up above him, I don't know just where. I rode bad ponies, ain't no crippled squaw, but he taught me tricks that I ain't never saw. He jumps to the east, but he lands in the west. To save his middle, I'm doing my best. He turns his old belly right up to the sun. He sure is one sun-fishing son of a gun. He nickel. We'll use some change with a gyrating jump and he leaves the corral. I left a big hole in the ground when I fell. Now the last time I saw him, he's crossing the bridge. He's a hightailing it back to his favorite ridge. I'm borrowing a saddle for a ton of my own. My rigging ran off with the ridge running road. Got a couple of verses, but you know, there's a million of them. Now, what do we got? Cowboy love song. Oh yeah, let's do that. You know, I put two on the same line because they're songs that people would know, and I wanted to do a couple of those. This has an interesting history. I heard a recording of Carl T. Sprague, did this in about 1923 or so. And he called it Cowboy Love Song, was the name of it. And it turns out that it's what we think of as Red River Valley. Only it was, they've come to, Bob Tinsley did a study on this, and it was not the Red River down by Louisiana, Texas, that all the cowboys think about. Most Americans think it's about those rivers. It's a Canadian song, and it was about the Red River in Manitoba. And it was about a Native American, a Native Canadian. And I'll sing it the way I heard it on the 78. But you know, what happens is the modern guys get hold of it and put all the minor chords and everything. So I'm just going to do it flat, like an old-time cowboy should. I've been thinking a long time, my darling, all the sweet words you never would say. But alas, all my fond hopes have vanished, for they say you were going away. Come and sit by my side ere you leave me. Do not hasten to bid me adieu, but remember the bright shining valley and the cowboy who loves you so true. Oh, there never has been such a longing in the heart of a pure cowboy's breast that dwells in the heart you are breaking, as I wait in my home in the west. Come and sit by my side ere you leave me. Do not hasten to bid me adieu, but remember the bright shining valley and the cowboy who loves you so true. From this valley they say you are going. I shall miss your sweet face and bright smile, but they say you are taking the sunshine for to brighten your pathway a while. And the dark maiden's prayer for her lover, to the spirits that rule all the world, may the pathway be ever in sunshine, is the prayer of the Red River girl. Come and sit by my side ere you leave me. Do not hasten to bid me adieu, but remember the bright shining valley shining valley, and the cowboy who loves you so true. All right, I'm going to do another familiar one. I haven't done this in a while, but one reason I'm doing it is because you will have heard it. And somebody reminded me of the song tonight. I won't stare at her. This song came from an old pipe tune in Ireland. I can just see them, the uilleann pipes. And it was a gorgeous melody. And, you know, who knows when it really started, maybe 1700 sometime in Ireland. And it was called The Bard of Armagh. It was a gorgeous tune. And then it turned up in England as a song about a sailor dying of a social disease. The same melody. You know, melodies travel. And then it turns up in the States of a guy dying of a gunshot wound. But it's all the same melody, because it's such a beautiful melody. But the melodies traveled, and the lyrics were changed. As I walked out in the streets of Laredo, as I walked out in Laredo one day, I spied a young cowboy wrapped in white linen, all wrapped in white linen, as cold as the clay. I see by your outfit that you are a cowboy. These words he didn't say as I boldly passed by. Come and sit here beside me and hear my sad story. I'm shot in the breast and I know I must die. So beat the drum slowly and play the fife slowly. Play the dead march as we carry him along. Take me to the Green Valley and play the song on me. For I'm a young cowboy and I know I don't know. It was once in the saddle I used to go dashing. Once in the saddle I galloped away. It was first to the alehouse and then to the guardhouse. I'm shot in the breast and I'm dying today. So beat the drum slowly and play the fife slowly. Play the dead march as you carry me along. Take me to the Green Valley and play the song on me. For I'm a young cowboy and I know I've done wrong. And there's a whole bunch of verses that, you know, I don't want to be here till midnight. But I just wanted you to know that you can hear that, the pipes. Just a gorgeous melody. And these melodies travel. Okay, I'm going to do another a cappella number here. I'm going to be very daring because it's all lyrics. And I've been having lapses in my memory lately. This story is amazing. I think earlier on I talked about Jack Thorpe. He wrote this song called Little Joe the Wrangler. And when he was in New Mexico, a kid who went to St. Paul's School, then went out and collected the first collection of cowboy songs in 1908. And Little Joe was a kid who ran away from home because his paw beat him. He ended up in a cow camp. The trail boss kind of liked him, so he assigned him to the cocinero, you know, the cook, the camp cook. And he wasn't a cowboy, he wasn't trained, you know, he had to help bring in the horses in the morning and stuff like that. But one night there was a stampede, thunder and lightning storm, and little Joe was called out with the rest. And his saddle horse stumbled in a dog hole, and he died. The kid died. But then Jack Thorpe wrote the sequel to this, called Little Joe the Wrangler's Sister Nell. And it was about this young cowgirl, his twin sister, who went looking for him. And she rode 400 miles to try to find him because he wasn't writing letters anymore. And she shows up in this cow camp, and the guys hear the story and they went, uh-oh, how are we going to tell her that her brother died? And so they kind of hang around and try to scheme up something. And the rest will be in the story here. But what I love about this song is it describes Little Joe the Wrangler's sister, the toughest cowgirl you would ever want to see. Bullhide chaps, a slick maguey tied to her saddle horn. Maguey is from the maguey plant. It's, you know, what they used to make ropes out of maguey plants. So in the Texas cowboys would call it maguey, you know, just to rhyme in a song. Now let me see if I can remember these lyrics. This is a killer song. She rode up to the wagon when the sun was sinking down. Slender little figure dressed in gray. We asked her to step down a while and sat down by the fire. Red Hut Chuck would soon be on its way. An old slouch hat with a hole on top was perched upon her head. Pair of bullhide chaps well greased and worn, and an old twin rig all scratched and scarred from working in the brush. Slick maguey tied to her saddle horn. We could see she'd been a-riding. Her little face, it was so sad. When she talked her upper lip, it trembled so. She was sure the living image, and we noted at a glance, of that boy we lost, her wrangler, Little Joe. We asked where Joe been riding, if she knew the outfit's brand. Yes, his letter said it was the Circle Bar. It was mailed from Amarillo about 4 months ago, from a trail herd headed west to Cinnabar. I looked at Tom, he looked at Jim, they looked back at me. There was something in our hearts we could not speak. She said she gets real worried when she hears no more from Joe, with her new pa getting meaner by the week. You see, our dad was shot one night before Joe and I was born. Joe and her was twins, the story run. Joe and her was twins, the story won. Oh dear. I almost did a sheet, so She said she gets real worried when she hears no more from Joe, with her new pa getting meaner by the week. You see, our dad was shot one night before Joe and I was born. Joe and her was twins, the story run. So my ma, she ups and marries, and we gets another pa. Then it was our troubles, they begun. For he beats us and abused us, starved us most of the time. Never did have young'uns of his own. Nothing Joe or I could do would ever be just right. So Joey hightails up and quits his home. I give the kid my bedroll. I bumped in with Jim, we talked and schemed, planned the whole night through as to which of us would tell her just as how that Joe got killed. Spread the news as easy as we knew. I'll wrangle in the morning, boy, she said as she turned in. I'll have the horses at the wagon before day. As the morning star was rising, I heard that kid roll out, saddle up the old night horse and go away. Soon we heard the horses a-comin', headed into camp. It weren't light, but we could plainly hear the bell, and then someone a-cryin'. And coming on behind it was little Jo, the wrangler's sister Nell. We couldn't quite console her. She'd seen the outfit's brand stamped on some steers by the river bank below. By the looks upon our faces, we didn't have to ask. If she didn't have to ask if she'd ever see her little brother Jo. That's a lot of lyrics for an old guy to remember. You get the gist of it. I mean, it was a real cowgirl. Now she automatically, I'll wrangle and I'll get those horses in the morning. Okay, let's do Utah Phillips. This is a masterpiece of writing, I think. It's about a camp cook. Now, when I've been on these cattle drives, they go through cooks like crazy because they're either alcoholics or they're angry. And, you know, come and get it, you rotten kids, you know, that kind of thing. And so Utah Phillips, who was kind of a raconteur, was a folk singer in the 60s. He was pretty popular. How many of you have heard of Utah Bruce Phillips? Yeah. And so he wrote this song about a camp cook. And it pretty much gives you the idea about what it was like to be a camp cook. Too old to wrangle and ride in the swing. You beat your triangle and curse everything. If dirt was a kingdom, then you'd be a king on the goodnight trail, on the loving trail. Your old woman's lonesome tonight. French harps blowing like a lone bowling calf. It's a wonder the wind don't tear off your skin. Get in there and blow out the light. The cook fire's gone out and the coffee's all gone. The boys, they're out there raising a dawn. You're just a sitting here lost in a song on the goodnight trail, on the loving trail. Your old woman's lonesome tonight. Your French harp's blowing like a lone bowling calf. It's a wonder the wind don't tear off your skin. Get in there and blow out the night. With your snake oils and herbs and your liniments too, you can do anything that a doctor can do, except find a cure for your own daggone stew on the goodnight trail, on the loving trail. Your old woman's lonesome tonight. Your French harp's blowing like that lone bowling calf. It's a wonder the wind don't tear off your skin. Get in there and blow out the light. Now the desert's a book, reading lizards and sage. It's easy to look like an old torn out page. Faded and cracked with the colors of age on the goodnight trail, on the loving trail. like a lone-balled calf. It's a wonder the wind don't tear off your skin. Get in there and blow out the light. Now I know that someday I'll be just the same, wearing an apron instead of a name. Nothing can change it and no one's to blame on the goodnight trail, on the loving trail. The old woman's lonesome tonight, the French harp blowing like a lone-balled calf. It's a wonder the wind don't tear off your skin. Get in there and blow out the light. Get in there and blow out the light. Okay, well, I'm going to skip Old Waddy Pal. I wrote that tune myself when I was on the ranch one time. And I'm going to skip that just because it's a little bit much. Yeah, you know, I identified with that song, The Goodnight Loving Trail. You know, Goodnight Loving, Oliver Goodnight and Charlie Goodnight and Oliver Loving were two guys who started a big Texas trail herd coming up. And so they called the trail the Goodnight Loving Trail, you know, like the Colorado Trail and the Texas Trail and all the other stuff. And, you know, that lyric, get in there and blow out the light. I lived in a sheep camp for a while when I was out west, and a friend of mine had a sheep camp, and I lived in there, and every time I sing that, I think about how I crawled into that bed and blew out the light, you know. Those great memories. Okay, let's do a fiddle tune and then I'll sing another one for you. Thank you for supplying me with the guitar stand. I was going to bring one of my own, but it was just too much stuff. Well, I'll play a couple of tunes, and I'll sing one more song. This first tune is one that I learned from an old cowboy. It's called Texas Bells. And the second one I wrote myself called The Coyote Howl. And it won't sound like a fancy tune, it will sound like a coyote. Because that's the way they used to do it. You know, they tuned the fiddles to different tunings because they didn't have a piano or guitar accompaniment. And they would try to, you know, imitate the sounds around them. Isn't that what people do when they sit around? You know, the old-time guys used to imitate freight trains, you know, freight train blues, and the fiddle players would imitate the sounds they heard around them. So, okay, Texas Bells and The Coyote Howl. you very much, appreciate that. Yeah, I haven't, that coyote howl, I haven't worked on enough, there's still a lot I can do with that. But, you know, I slept on the prairie so much, and I know that sound so well, that it's always fascinated me when people imitate trains and animals with a musical instrument. Okay, this song is called the Night Herding Song. Remember what I mentioned about having to put night guards out at night to try to keep the cattle quiet? Well, this is a song that was collected in 1909 in Yellowstone Park by John Lomax. And there was a guy named Harry Stevens who was kind of a trail rider in Yellowstone in 1909. And John Lomax, the folklorist, went to me and said, "Harry, why don't you sing some of those songs that you sang trying to do night guarding?" And he did, and John Lomax got it on tape, and then my version is a lot different than other people's, but the lyrics are the same. Sorry. So this is called the Night Herding Song. And, oh yes, by the way, a dogie is a baby calf. And the reason why they called them dogies was because I learned when I was doing the cattle drives that if you don't stop the herd periodically and pair the mothers up with the babies don't get the enzymes in mother's milk to help them digest all the grass. If they don't get mother's milk and they just eat grass, their stomachs get distended sometimes. And so they got sick, and the cowboys would call them dough bellies or dough guts. And that's where the word dogie comes from. And then they started calling all the cattle dogies, get along little dogie kind of thing. I really appreciate that you've hung on here. I hate going to concerts that go on too long. I just hate it. I remember I went to a Shakespeare play that went on too long. So here we have the Night Herding Song, and thank you again, Ed and Lori and everybody who's helped out, Vicki and everyone. So here is the Night Herding Song. Woo! Why do I move slow, dogies, quit you rolling around. You have wandered and trampled all over the ground. Race slow, dogies, feed kinda slow, and don't forever be on the go. Oh, move slow, dogies, move slow. Ooh, I've circle herded, I've night herded too, but to keep you together is what I can't do. My horse, she's leg weary, and I'm mighty tired, but if I lose you, I'm sure to get fired. Bunch up, you little go-guts, bunch up. Oh, say, little dogie, when you gonna lay down and quit this forever sifting around? My limbs are weary, my seat is sore. Oh, lay down, dogies, like you lay down before. Lay down, you little doggy, lay down. Ooh, I lay still, little doggy, since you have laid down, and spread your way out on drown them wild sounds that all go away when the day rolls around. Lay still, little doggy, lay still. Move slow, doggy, quit roaming around. You have wandered and trampled over the ground. Pray slow, doggies, feed kind of slow, and don't forever be on the go. Oh, move slow, doggies, move slow. Ooh, I do. You do that because it's being filmed. Thank you so much for coming.
I just want to thank everyone who came. We had a bigger crowd before, and the people who stayed for this time. I want to thank Skip again for coming down. It's an exciting thing for us because obviously we're looking to bring as much life into the building. This was a great night for that, and I'm really happy that we had it happen, and I thank him for all he's done. We had wonderful conversations, by the way. This is an interesting
This is a
man
cool
to
guy.
talk to.
He's a cool guy right here.
But I wanted to say that the way in which some of these things happen, that we're able to tell the public just can free us, that we got a cultural grant from Suffolk County, and that helps us to underwrite some of what we do, and we get other donations. But it's been a big, big help, and we have more events coming up like that. And I have to say it, Ann Walker's here tonight, and the money came from her office to us, and she comes all the way out. She is our Suffolk County legislator. And Ann has been here before for several events of ours. She's a great supporter. I went to a science fair at the high school, and Ann is there shaking kids' hands. Great job. I mean, it's absolutely essential that that's how politics should work. Thank you so much for what you do. Thank you.